Good evening, everybody, and thank you for being with us. And thank you, Iowa. Hallelujah. You gave President Trump the victory that the nation needs, and what a victory it is. The Iowa caucuses took only a half hour of voting to declare President Trump the winner, crushing DeSantis, and DeSantis coming in a distant second. Behind him, third place went to Nikki Haley, the one who couldn't or wouldn't say the Civil War started over slavery, who thinks illegal immigrants, millions of them, well, you just go out and give them a big hug, everything's just fine. And she seems eager to go to war over anything with anyone except, of course, her own country's sovereignty and its southern border. Uh, President Trump won every single age group in this caucus. He won by the largest margin in the history of the Iowa caucuses, doubling, in fact, the previous record for size of the margin of victory. And then there are these Fox News poll analysis numbers. 78% of the caucus scores in Iowa say all of the charges against President Trump brought by the Marxist Dems are political attacks, and almost 90% of those same caucus scores say that Joe Biden is an illegitimate president. Thank you again, Iowa. And here are a few media outlets that I am pleased to tell you are just exploding over President Trump's big night. The little darlings struggling with the reality of President Trump's historic win. Here they are.
The border. Because right now we have an invasion. We have an invasion of millions and millions of people that are coming into our country. I can't imagine why they think that's a good thing.
Donald Trump declaring victory with a historically strong showing in the Iowa caucuses. If these numbers hold, the biggest victory for a non-incumbent president in the modern era for this contest. A relatively subdued speech as these things go so far, although here he is right now under my voice. You hear him repeating his anti-immigrant rhetoric.
There is a reason that we and other news organizations have generally stopped giving an unfiltered live platform to remarks by former President Trump. It is not out of spite. It is not a decision that we relish. It is a decision that we regularly revisit. And honestly, earnestly, it is not an easy decision, but there is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things. And that is a fundamental truth of our business and who we are.
Well, Rachel Maddow, at least she didn't break into tears. And here is MSNBC's Joy Reid, not thrilled with all those Christians and white people having the right to vote, or maybe having the right to exist at all. Here's Reid's take, going crazy over what she called those white Christian Iowans.
These are white Christians. That this is a state that is overrepresented by white Christians that are going to participate in these caucuses, yes. Especially tonight. Earlier today, reached out to Robbie Jones, from the Public Religion Research Institute, knowing that we were going to talk about Iowa. And this is a hyper-evangelical white state. And he said the following to me: Iowa is about 61% white Christian. The country as a whole is approximately 41% white Christian. And in Iowa, we're talking about evangelical white Christians. And he said the following. Because I asked him, what do they get out of supporting Donald Trump? Because he keeps losing, he keeps delivering losses and losses and losses. And he said the following: they see themselves as the rightful inheritors of this country, and Trump has promised to give it back to them.
Well, if nothing else, they're entertaining, if somewhat, well, drastically confused. Now on to New Hampshire. The primary 1 week from today, and that will be a battle between the Republican establishment and their snarky never-Trumper governor, John Sununu, seeking out all the votes the Republican rhino donors can buy for Haley against President Trump and the MAGA Republicans who just want to save the republic. The polls show President Trump ahead between 7 to 20 points. You wonder, what's that 7 doing there? Well, that 7-point poll was the outlier. It's CNN's poll, and it's a usual margin of error for CNN. And it's clear after last night, the Marxist Democrats and the media are scared to death, afraid of President Trump's big win. and they'll do anything they can to destroy Trump and his movement, as they have done every day and every week and month since, 2021. Joining us right now is conservative author, filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza, great American. Dinesh, great to have you with us here on Lou Dobbs Tonight. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Nice to join you. Thanks for having me.
Dinesh, I want to ask you, first of all, everyone expected a win, but this win, the size of it, the swiftness of the declaration of a victory, it's driving the Marxist Dems off their nut. Your thoughts about this reaction from left-wing media?
Well, I think it is the reason that they're so apoplectic, so beside themselves, is because their strategy is backfiring. What was their strategy? Well, it was to launch a kind of shotgun of lawfare against Trump in multiple jurisdictions, some of them federal, some of them state. As you know, 90 plus criminal charges. This doesn't even count the New York case where they're trying to wreck his businesses. And I think the objective of all this, well, ultimately, I suppose, to get a conviction, to get a media headline, Trump is guilty, maybe to incarcerate Trump. But the shorter term objective was to get Republicans to do what Republicans often do, which is scatter, run away in fear, say that Trump is toxic, Trump is radioactive, it's too risky to go with Trump, we got to find somebody else, anybody else. And this strategy has completely failed. People don't buy any of these charges. They think it's all bogus. And in fact, it might be drawing people even more strongly, more defensively to Trump.
And, you know, in the midst of this, the president had to be back in court today in the New York trial with the woman who he was alleged to have raped. It's really a bizarre case as well, because he has to pay $5 million, but they didn't find him guilty or liable for rape. It's more of this mad lawfare, as you reference, and it just goes on, whether it's lawfare in terms of the broader courts, or whether it is the weaponization of the federal government, the weaponization of the DOJ and the FBI, the intel agencies, frankly, every agency. Your thoughts about what can be done to reverse this government that's been turned against its people?
Well, if you look at the left strategy here, it is the DOJ does not operate with its customary sense of restraint, of even an attempt to appear to be neutral, to be treating both parties equally. They've cast aside all that. They're going in a naked way to be a partisan wing of the Democrats and of the left. And they're counting on judges, very often urban judges, judges who are Clinton appointees or Obama appointees or even Biden appointees, to go along with them. And they pick their fights in jurisdictions where you've got a heavy concentration of leftists in the jury, people who sort of use being in a jury as a form of vendetta. Let's get Giuliani, let's get Trump. And so every wacky idea, let's sue him for this, let's throw him off the ballot in Colorado and Maine, every wacky idea, which in the past would be laughed, even by Democrats. They'd be like, well, that's not going to work. We can't do that. But now, today, it becomes, well, let's try. And so to answer your question, it seems to me that the only way to stop it is to do the same thing to them. Because as long as they feel that they can do this stuff with impunity, they'll keep doing it. Because then they think, look, these Republicans are so principled, they're such nice guys. When they come into power, they won't do it to us. So we have nothing to worry about. The police agencies of the state will never be mobilized against us. This is, I think, why Trump has been saying, you know, listen, this is a Pandora's box. If you open the box, two can play at this game. Trump has been speaking this way because I think he realizes that the best deterrence against the left is a certain type of mutually assured destruction. If you do these tactics against us, we will surely do them against you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that seems the likely course. At the same time, I think the Republicans, and I think President Trump, if he does, for the good fortune of the country, become the 47th president, will have to think long and hard about the response, because we have a government that is, the Marxist Dems are pervasive. They control every agency in the federal government right now. And I understand no one likes to talk about this, but the Marxist Dems are in charge of every agency of the federal government. There is no exception. They're in charge of our judiciary. They're in charge of the legal profession. And this is not an easy, there's no easy solution to this, Dinesh. And I'm thinking right now, we have a DEI madness that is coursing its way through our universities, and most recently in the Ivy League. The examples of it, it's in corporations and their HR departments everywhere. Your thoughts about what has to be done to roll back what is right now a massive Marxist victory in the takeover of the U.S. government?
Well, let's remember that, for example, when you're talking about DEI, the way that these policies got instituted is because of fear of lawsuits. By and large, the left would come and file a lawsuit and say, listen, they'd go to a typical company and they would say, we noticed that blacks, even though blacks are 10% of the population, they're only 6% at your company. Therefore, you are presumptively guilty of discrimination. Of course, you can avoid the problem by changing your policies, adopting affirmative action hiring programs, creating a diversity department, doing this, doing that. And the companies were like, okay, we surrender. So it seems to me, again, how do you stop this? It is basically to file lawsuits in the opposite direction. Once you have a Supreme Court decision against affirmative action, which we do, you now find every corporation that's engaged in DEI, you find defendants who have been disadvantaged by these policies, and you sue. You have class action lawsuits, one upon the other, against universities, against businesses, against government entities. And then for the exact same reason, you will find these institutions going, oh, okay, we at Harvard don't want to be sued. We don't want to basically be paying every white student and Asian American student with high grades in Tesco's who got turned away from Harvard, paying them millions of dollars each. So we're going to have to adopt a more colorblind policy in line with what the Supreme Court has decided. So again, it's distasteful. This goes against our temperamental grain. But it seems to me in fighting the Marxists, we have to use the same cudgels and weapons that they use.
Dinesh D'Souza, always great to talk with you. We appreciate you being here. I hope you'll come back soon. Dinesh D'Souza, thank you.
Thank you.
The Marxist Dems in this country aren't the only ones having little snitbits over President Trump's sensational win in Iowa. Let's say that again, sensational win in Iowa. It sounds good, doesn't it? British intelligence awash in anxiety. They're clucking as they do about, when they're fretting, they cluck over President Trump's reelection this time. The former head of MI6, the Brits' CIA-like agency, is a worried man, Sir Richard Dearlove, telling Sky News that President Donald Trump's possible reelection is a, quote, national security risk to the United Kingdom. Dearlove, dear boy, is not a deep thinker, obviously. He cited, reasonably enough, China's behavior as a threat regarding Western interests in Taiwan and Ukraine, again, reasonably enough. Really, that should be Russia that he is concerned about, not Ukraine, but we understand, don't we? Then Dearlove added, he's also worried about Trump's re-election because of NATO and changing America's nuclear umbrella that we provide Europe, essential for Europe's security and its defense. And it has been secure and defended by U.S. nuclear umbrellas since the early 50s. And oddly, Sir Richard didn't seem in the least concerned. Now, this is what I find interesting. He didn't seem in the least concerned about that compromised, impaired, incoherent, and did I mention corrupt puppet President Joe Biden, and the fact that Biden is always near the nuclear football, 24/7. Don't think Sir Dearlove has really thought out his security concerns, because Trump, well, Dearlove, dear boy, is the solution, not your problem. You desperately need a fresh look at Europe's vulnerabilities and American leadership, oh yes, and our protection. And yes, under President Trump, you will still be in good hands, old boy. Coming up, China increasing its involvement in the Middle East as Biden continues to capitulate to the CCP on every issue, everywhere on the world stage. We talk to China expert Gordon Chang here next. Please stay with us.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
President Joe Biden offering no words of congratulations at all, no words of support to Taiwanese President-elect William Lai, following his election victory Saturday, telling reporters simply that the United States does not, quote, support independence for Taiwan. Joining us now, the author of 2 books, The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War. Let's start with the president's, I have to say, awkward, if not just downright insulting, response to the election in Taiwan.
It was awkward, it was insulting, and it certainly was not in American interest. Got to remember that that was the inappropriate thing to say. That is what Xi Jinping wanted Joe Biden to say. And when Joe Biden said it, what he was really saying to Beijing was, look, I will say anything you want. So the problem right now, that makes China more threatening because they press the advantage. They don't sort of pocket the concession and say, oh, well, we'll be nice in return. That's not the way Xi Jinping works. Biden should know it. He's been dealing with the guy, as Biden says, for so many years. And unfortunately, we now have a president of the United States whose words are determined by the Chinese leader.
The threat posed by Communist China, further amplified by North Korea, its proxy kingdom, if you will, and Kim Jong-un declaring that he no longer has any interest in uniting with South Korea, and pretty much that he's going to threaten the world as he wishes. Your reaction?
Yes, a number of analysts of North Korea are now saying that Kim Jong-un's words are not business as usual, and that Kim has actually made a strategic decision to go to war. This could very well be at the prompting of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. So we could have, for instance, Moscow and Beijing pushing North Korea to do something to create another proxy war. Remember, China has green-lighted the invasion of Ukraine. It is with Russia fueling insurgencies in North Africa that look like wars. And China is supporting Iran's attack on Israel. So we have China disturbing and creating these wars around the world. Maybe there's going to be one more, Lou, and that would be North Korea attacking South Korea or Japan.
And North Korea right now is supplying, we know, rockets and missiles to Russia. China is certainly has a central role in the Middle East, where we're watching the Iranians supply not only Hezbollah and Hamas, but the Houthis, and interfering with global commerce in the Red Sea. How much more of this can the West tolerate?
The answer is no more, but obviously we are. By the way, North Korean weapons are in the hands of Hamas, and Chinese weapons in large quantities are in the hands of all three of Iranian's main terrorist proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi militia. So we have China fully behind these attacks in the Red Sea. Biden's response has been tepid. He has only counter-assaulted when he's been forced to. And obviously, it's not impressed the Houthis or Iran because they're continuing their attacks on shipping, including U.S.-owned shipping and U.S. warships.
And moving to the issue of Russia right now, Zelensky at Davos declaring he wants Switzerland to negotiate peace between Ukraine and Russia. Does that surprise you? And what are the prospects in your judgment?
That surprises me a lot because Zelensky has not been talking about negotiations, except when he's really been forced to. And obviously, the Russians are in no mood to negotiate, even though they're not doing that well on the battlefield right now. This is a very interesting war, which is moving into a new phase. I don't know what Zelensky's diplomatic game is, but we are going to find a lot because Zelensky, I'm sure, is going to also put pressure on the United States as well. And so this will be fascinating in the next couple of weeks.
Well, as flat-footed as the Biden administration is in foreign policy and diplomacy, they did seem to back off from their insistence on a two-state solution as they are watching Israel go to war against Hamas. They're backing off their rather critical comments about the way Israel was conducting it. And I understand Bibi Netanyahu and the president haven't talked in weeks. It is a strained relationship, and it is bizarre that we see the administration falling on the same side, really, as all of the pro-Hamas demonstrators and protesters that we've seen rise up in countries in Europe, in the United States in particular, in the United States by tens of thousands. Your thoughts on where the Biden administration is headed here and why they're not being extremely more helpful to our ally Israel as it goes to war against the terrorists who threaten its very existence?
This is a pattern in the Middle East where we have the United States supporting our enemies, Iran, and not supporting our traditional friends, Israel and Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states. So that is why there has been one disaster after another in the Middle East, which is a direct result of Biden policy. We got to go back to the Trump years where President Trump had the most successful American Middle East policy since at least FDR, who established the relationship with Saudi Arabia. We had the Abraham Accords, which were historic. They brought peace to the region. It looked like things were going to turn a corner for the better. And then you have Biden coming in. He tried to destroy our relationship with Riyadh, and the Iranians and the Chinese and the Russians saw it. And that's the reason why we have the makings of the Third World War at this very moment in the Red Sea and surrounding areas.
Gordon, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate it. Thank you. Gordon Chang.
Thank you very much, Lou.
When we come back, the man who's faced political persecution of his own, former Trump campaign manager for Trump's 2016 campaign. Paul Manafort is our guest. He joins us right after these quick words. Please stay with us. Hi, as we begin our second week here on Lou Dobbs Tonight on Frank Speech, Lindell TV, Apple TV, Rumble, you name it, I want to thank all of you for tuning in and extend another thank you to all of you tuning in on Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, and other platforms. Over the weekend, I was looking at some of your comments on Rumble and couldn't help but, I want to share a few of my favorites with all of you. Patrick 37OZ writing in to say, Lou, I will sleep a little better seeing you once again. Judith Jones writing, what wonderful news. I love Lou Dobbs so much I named my cat after him. Fox has been circling the drain since they let him go, calling Arizona sealed my fate with Fox. So tired of all the manufactured fear on television. Well, Judith, thanks so much. I can assure you nothing is manufactured here on Lindell TV, just straight talk. And last but not least, let me go to Dr. Zorbo, who writes, nice to see Mr. Dobbs again. She says, as a side note, back in the 80s, I once got a promotion at a job because I mentioned in a planning meeting that I wanted to have Lou Dobbs' baby. At least I think that's why I got the promotion. Well, thank you for all of your nice words and your optimism about that promotion. I'm sure you earned it all on your own. And I read your comments, believe it or not, every day. Thanks for joining us here on Lou Dobbs Tonight. Please join us 7 days a week on the Great America Show podcast. The Great America podcast is a daily podcast that I host, taking up, big issues and events facing the nation right now. Please join us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you go for your podcast, we'll be there waiting for you. Thanks so much.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Donald Trump's landslide victory last night made Iowa caucus history. No other candidate had ever won more than 50% of the vote. President Trump's margin of victory, along with his dominating poll numbers, leaving the political and economic elites in this country with agita and no other option to defeat Trump and the Republican Party. They know, as the polls show, that President Trump would beat Joe Biden handily in a head-to-head matchup. And the left can't beat Trump at the ballot box, so they're being tempted. And they are attempting to simply remove him from the ballot. If that doesn't work, they have a backup plan. They'll remove Trump altogether by throwing him in prison for the rest of his life. Brilliant, huh? And we're not talking about some two-bit third world country. So while Joe Biden is lecturing America about threats to democracy, while he is the greatest threat to democracy, he is directing the Democrat Marxist Dem machine to jail his chief political rival. How does this all end? Does Trump overcome the persecution by winning the election outright, or does he have a chance to defeat these radicals in court? Joining us now, someone who has faced political persecution of his own, Paul Manafort, the former campaign manager for President Trump in Trump's 2016 campaign. And he joins us now. Paul, thank you very much for being with us. I want to start with, as you watch over the history, your history with President Trump, the successful campaign of 2016, how do you feel about what you're watching right now as he is being politically persecuted now in his 9th year of that political persecution, and the Marxist Dems have brought everything they can at him? Your reaction, if you will, to what you're witnessing right now.
It's hard to believe, Lou, as you said earlier. I mean, my whole life I've been involved in promoting democracy around the world, dealing with emerging democracies, helping them understand the basic rules of how you govern and how campaigns are run and what happens after campaigns. And to watch what's happened to Trump is everything that I taught not to do to these emerging countries. And so now as I go back to some of these countries and talk to them, they ask me, what was I saying to them if we do exactly in the United States what I told them they should not be doing as they were trying to build up their fledgling democracies? And frankly, in some respects, it's even worse because they had in those countries, there was no foundation of democracy. So we had to teach them the meaning of it. We have the foundations here. This is an outright assault on our Constitution. And Donald Trump is truly an existential threat to the left. And they understand that unless they destroy him, not defeat him, destroy him, that their plans are at risk. They thought they had beaten him in 2016. They thought they had destroyed him in 2020, through 2020. Then they thought they had defeated him in 2020. And here he is still back as the leading contender and now the front runner for not just the Republican nomination, but to be the next president of the United States.
And, it is absolutely true. These Marxist Dems, I truly believe this is axiomatic in their psyche. They are so afraid of Donald Trump that they have no choice but to hate him and to destroy him in their own minds. And to see this play out in real time, with the physical destruction that they brought to the country in so many forms, whether it's Antifa, whether it's BLM, the Summer of Love, and all of those riots and arson and murders that have been carried out in the name of reacting to a Trump presidency. It's remarkable. And still it goes on. When we watch the pro-Hamas terrorist demonstrators and the pro-terrorist demonstrators in the streets by the tens of thousands in America, they're aligned with the Marxist left and the Democrat Party as it is led by the Marxist Dems. We're watching a movement, if you will, a movement that means to destroy what America is, don't you think?
I said the Constitution is under assault. I mean, I was not being facetious. I mean, they truly are trying to destroy the country. I mean, when I wrote my book, I wrote one of the reasons I wrote it was I wanted to get the truth out, for one, but two is because through my experience in dealing with the special counsel, I mean, and these attacks on who I was as a person, I realized that if they're coming after me this way, then the ordinary Americans are going to be at risk at some point. Well, during the 4 years of the Trump presidency, that metastasized, if you will, to the American people, so that school boards, parents going there were committed domestic terrorists. Pro-life people were considered murderers because and terrorists because they were protesting, and yet the streets of our country could be destroyed with radicals and crime could run rampant because of radicals, and that was not viewed as any kind of insurrection. So what I feared and what I wrote about in the book, unfortunately, has come true. But the good news is, I did talk about how we could come back and take power, and fortunately, President Trump is willing to put himself out on the line again because he does believe in our country, and he puts our country first over all of his interest in his life. And you can see every day he goes out there and puts up with his attacks on his family, attacks on his business, attacks on any part of his life, in order to help return not to power for himself, but to power for the people of the United States. And last night was a good night in Iowa. It showed that the American people still get it, and that what President Biden has done in becoming a front for the radical left is got very short time left.
You know, as we looked at the president and his sons on the stage last night, obviously they're overjoyed at the victory. I couldn't help but think of all they've been through to get to that first win for this 2024 cycle. I mean, it's been blood, sweat, and tears for President Trump and the Trump family, as you suggest. And Dinesh D'Souza and I were talking earlier in the show, and he said that we basically have to do what the Democrats and the Marxists in the deep state have done to us. And I don't know if that's, I just don't know if it's possible, because frankly, they have all the guns right now. They've got nearly every court in the land, district and state. They've got nearly every state legislature under their control and influence. They have all of the media, and they have all of the agencies and all of the departments of the federal government. I don't know how you respond to that, and I don't understand why the Republicans aren't thinking more about these realities and acknowledging them as realities. We're not facing the Democrat Party, are we, Paul? We're looking at a movement of Marxists.
State, but Lou, I actually have a more optimistic viewpoint on it, as far as our ability to change this, to stop this and change it again, because Trump is the right person, and the 4 years in office, Trump understands way better today than he did on January 20th, 2017, what he's up against. He understood what he had to do, but he had belief in people, in American people who worked in government, caring about their country first. And you're right, a number of the sort of Marxist, leftist leaders of this cabal are ingrained in the system, but they can be removed. There's plenty of ways to do it. Trump has a plan for how to do that. This is not retribution. This is not him trying to get even. I mean, frankly, I don't think the president feels that way at all. He actually cares about cleaning out the swamp, because if he doesn't, our Constitution is at risk. It's serious risk, and our future's at risk.
Our Constitution is, Paul, I mean, our Constitution is being shredded right now. It's being shredded by every one of the D.C. courts. District Court and Appellate Court in D.C. is absolutely, I mean, those courts are out of 1980s Soviet Union history. They've been reborn in the United States of America. It's just unthinkable. Paul, your sense about the race itself as we wrap up here. The president looks strong. He looks ready. And will the Republicans be able to keep this election from being rigged? And will they prevail?
The answer to those two questions is yes and yes. I believe that there's a plan afoot. Trump is a stronger candidate today. He's got a record that the American people recognize and support over the current Biden administration. And he's got an organization that, frankly, is one of the best I've seen in American politics. And that they understand their mission. And more importantly, he has people sitting in the wings preparing to govern that he didn't have in 2016, who are going to help frame not just the debate in the campaign, but the way in which President Trump will govern as the 47th president of the United States.
Paul Manafort, good of you to be here. Thanks so much. Please come back. Paul Manafort. Today, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against President Trump, ruling that that Special Counsel Smith can access Donald Trump's messages on X, formerly known as Twitter, as part of his crusade against the Republican frontrunner. Jack Smith is a jackal, a junkyard jackal, as he attacks President Trump, and he is relentless, and he doesn't really care too much about the rules. It's quite obvious now. Federal investigators given access to Trump's private messages last year. X itself appealed the decision. It lost that appeal today, leading us further into the dark waters of these chaotic times defined by a corrupt judiciary, a corrupt federal government, but most specifically, a corrupt Department of Justice and FBI. The conservatives on the bench call Smith's investigation, though, unprecedented. They also said the ruling shortchanged the concept of executive privilege. This whole 9 years of political persecution by the Marxist left has destroyed executive privilege, the privilege between attorneys and clients. I mean, you can't think of a privilege that they have not overrun when it comes to the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. It means many Americans have already learned the hard way. It means there is no institution, no rule, no norm, no law that the Marxists will spare in their war on President Trump. Coming up here next, the Iowa caucuses are over, but the 2024 race is just getting started. President Trump heading to New Hampshire ahead of that state's vote next Tuesday. But first, he stopped in New York as he fights back against another bogus trial. More on that straight ahead. Please stay with us.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
Welcome back. President Trump is looking to New Hampshire now following his huge victory in Iowa, sweeping all 98 counties, losing one by just one vote. The primary effectively over as it stands. The only threat to President Trump's ascendancy, these politicized, weaponized courts and a politicized, weaponized Justice Department. Today, in fact, President Trump sat in a New York courtroom because of allegations that he defamed E. Jean Carroll. Well, Carroll accused Trump of some decades ago trying to rape her or raping her. A jury with Carroll in that case did not, however, find him liable for rape. And now a judge is ruling that remarks that President Trump made against Carroll were defamatory. So the only question is, how much money does Carroll extract from Trump in the end? And billionaire Democrat donor Reid Hoffman said that he bankrolled Carroll's lawsuit, $250,000 worth, as a way of protecting the rule of law. Weaponizing it would be more accurate. Anything to stop President Trump is fair game for the Marxist Dems and their lawfare ways. They would scorch the earth and salt it too, for good measure, if they could only get President Trump. And President Trump is facing 4 criminal indictments, as you know, and a total of 91 felony charges. In one day, President Trump lost 3 attorneys when attorney Joseph Tacopina withdrew his firm from Trump's Manhattan legal team. But Trump doesn't seem discouraged or even bothered. Despite being beset by lawfare, the weaponization of, it seems, the entire legal system against him, he's under siege from all quarters, and now he's on his way to New Hampshire and in high spirits as well. A remarkable sight to see, and we're bringing in one of President Trump's attorneys, Jared Roberts. Jared, great to have you with us on Lou Dobbs Tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lou. I really appreciate it.
You know, as we're describing this scene, Jared, for the president, it's impossible that he could be in high spirits, but yet he is. And there's what I can't understand, and I don't think most people can either. How in the world can it be that this brutality, this weaponization emanating from the Justice Department, the Marxist Dems, their obvious conspiracy to attack this president with every means available to him in the legal system? There's no countervailing force here for him in the legal system, is there?
I will say that President Trump is a remarkable man. There are not many people that could withstand the types of attacks that he is undergoing, and in a lot of ways the system does seem rigged against him at times, but President Trump is powering forward. I mean, we saw last night in Iowa a ginormous victory, and we feel very confident in each legal defense that throughout all of the cases that all of us lawyers have. We feel very confident that at the end of the day, President Trump will be vindicated, whether that be through immunity, through the First Amendment. There's a list of many defenses that go on and on that vindicate President Trump. And right now, we're just going to continue fighting the fight. And at the end of the day, we look forward to seeing President Trump back in the White House in 2025.
Well, I mean, that's great. And Jared, I understand your optimism. I understand that, you feel strongly about it. My problem is I've watched this for 9 years. I've seen the man impeached twice. I have seen the man face special counsels. I have seen him persecuted by the FBI for over 4 years. By the way, that doesn't include the special counsel investigations. And as I said, I don't see a countervailing influence here. The legal system has no soul right now, and doesn't seem to me in any way, and whether we're talking about the criminal courts, the criminal prosecutors of the Department of Justice, they know what they're doing is nothing more than political savagery against this president. And what I'm asking you really is, why is there not a countervailing influence within the government itself, within the legal profession, to stop this obvious election interference, political persecution of a president, the destruction of his privileges, and doing so with abandon?
Well, I think we will see in red states more and more attorney generals coming to President Trump's defense, whether that be through amicus briefs. I know right now the focus in a lot of ways is just beating these bogus charges and trucking on forward to the 2024 election and getting President Trump back in the White House in 2025. The reason the left is doing this is because they know that the American people want a second term of President Donald J. Trump, and they know that the left knows that they cannot beat President Trump on the ballot. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to beat him in the courtroom. And right now, we do feel very confident that we will succeed. The president has prevailed in every challenge against him so far, and I don't think that this one will be any different. Whether or not there's any offense in the future, I can't speak to. But right now, the focus is on beating these bogus charges, which is exactly what they are, and moving forward to getting President Trump in the White House in 2025.
That's great. And from your lips to God's ears, President Trump in the White House in 2025. But again, the issue here is, I don't know anyone who has his personal strength, his individual stamina, and strength of mind. And, I just can't imagine any other person, an individual, standing up to the forces that have been arrayed against him. I can't even imagine who it would be. But the other part of it is, this has still taken, years of this president's life. And we don't have a Supreme Court justice, Chief Justice, who will stand up and say our courts are making mistakes here, that we've got hundreds of people in the D.C. gulag, and it's been 3 years and they don't have a trial date. They haven't had a trial. We've got a president who's being stripped of every privilege that a president has. And by the way, just every privilege that should exist, including attorney-client privilege, that's been trampled. What is becoming of the legal system, the judicial system in this country? I know why they're going after him, and I know what they want to do. They want to destroy the man. They want to destroy Republicans. They want to destroy independents, anybody who's not a Marxist Dem. And they mean to get it done. But I don't know why a John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, who is responsible for the federal judiciary, doesn't stand up and take a stand on this issue.
Lou, I'm not on the case that will be before the Supreme Court in just a few weeks now, the Colorado decision. But what we saw in Colorado was a group of judges who they put on a black robe and they swore an oath that they would uphold the law, that they would apply the law fairly, and they did not do so. They acted with for their own political gain. They did not act as judges. They acted as politicians. And I think we are seeing that all too often throughout this country. I fully agree with you. But at the end of the day, I do think the Supreme Court will correct a lot of these wrongs. They are willing to take this Colorado case. This is going to be, I think, the first big win for us moving forward. I think that the Supreme Court will find that the 14th Amendment, that provision does not apply to the president. The 14th Amendment lists offices that it would apply to. It notably does not list the president. And any finding to the contrary would be an abuse of due process. President Trump has never been found guilty of any insurrection. In fact, quite the opposite. During impeachment proceedings, he was acquitted of these charges. He has prevailed before. He will prevail in the future. And our hope is that the Supreme Court will take these challenges and right these wrongs against President Trump. We will see immunity defenses, First Amendment defenses. All of this is on the way, and I'm very optimistic that the Supreme Court will, at the end of the day, right the wrongs.
Well, again, from your lips to God's ears, the president right now, looking at prosecutions in Fulton County, looking at Letitia James, the Attorney General of the state of New York, bringing absolutely absurd cases. In any other jurisdiction in the country, almost, so long as it is not a deep blue state, these things, there would have been a summary judgment. They would have been dismissed by judges because they are on the face of it. Political persecution. What state would you say the country is in when it has a judiciary that is in state governments as well and local prosecutors under the influence of George Soros philosophies and ideology? I mean, we are being challenged as a nation every day in our courtrooms by the prosecutors DAs that won't prosecute, other DAs that will persecute only. I mean, this is madness. How did the legal system in this country, as we wrap up here, how did it get to this point of disarray?
The best answer I have for how it's gotten to this point, and you're right, it's a dirty system. I mean, we saw the committee was working with Fani Willis before she even brought in the special grand jury in Georgia. We saw that Fani Willis was paying her boyfriend an absurd salary to prosecute President Trump. And I think we got to this point because of higher education. I mean, when you go to law school, at least my experience, and I know the experience of many lawyers in my field, that it's above 90% left-wing students, almost 100% left-wing faculty. If you go into law school a conservative, there's a good chance you come out liberal, and then it's really radical left-wing students in law school that come out, they become prosecutors, they eventually become judges. And so at the end of the day, I think it does start with higher education, convincing more conservatives to get involved in the legal fight. And I mean, I think that at the end of the day, we just need to really encourage the right to join the fight as the left has.
Jared, I think you're exactly right, and I appreciate you being with us and representing the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, so well. Thanks so much. We appreciate it, Jared Roberts. Well, coming up here tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern, remember to join us tomorrow. Former Deputy Director of National Intelligence, former DOD Chief of Staff Kash Patel joins us. Also with us tomorrow, spokeswoman for President Trump, Liz Harrington. We'll be talking with her about how President Trump is feeling after that big Iowa victory and what's ahead. Also, Congressman Keith Self of Texas will be here. We'll be getting the latest update on, you can call it the Biden border, or you could call it what it really is, the Mexican drug cartel's border. They control it, all 2,000 miles of it. Mike Lindell's show coming up next. Please enjoy. Good night, and God bless you.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low.